So, are we good to go on? Yeah, you're all good.
No.
All right. Welcome to the NELLY podcast. Today we got a very, very special guest here, Senator Simpson. He's got a full plate of just in his career, he's been a senator. He is a veteran. He just got the Presidential Medal of Freedom recently, which is the highest medal I saw that you can earn as just a citizen, which is very cool. And so, just how are you doing? It's just appreciate to have you here, I guess, just to be here.
Well, you're great to come because I went to Cody High School. We had our three children went to Cody High School. The grandchildren go to Cody High School, and
Mm-hmm.
the great grandchildren too.
Yep.
And so this is our home. And so the minute we left Washington, and that was my decision, I decided not to run again. I figured if you do it enough, they'll beat you.
Mm-hmm.
So I get out of town, and we came right back here. My wife was born in Grable, and so I was raised here in Cody, and so the two of us said there's only one place we want to come, and that's back to Cody. And and our three children live here, and we see them occasionally. Not the judge; we don't see him often, but
Mm-hmm.
Bill Simpson, and then Colin is the law firm, and then Susie at the Simpson Gallagher Gallery, and then the grandchildren are. Well, it's a pleasant time. We don't like to go to Arizona in the winter. We like the seasons,
Mm-hmm.
and we're home. And
Yeah.
this is what we wanted to do. But there were plenty of opportunities in Washington to stay
To stay.
for money.
Oh yeah.
And you thought, well, with that kind of money, I could stick around. And
For
they
a
said,
while.
no,
Mm-hmm.
let's go home.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting choice between money and just where you want to be, where you want to raise. Like you'll see your grandchildren, and you'll just get a lot more of that home experience instead of just taking the money, which I think is cool. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people that would just go for the money, which is you need a lot of money, obviously, but it's pretty cool that you came back to where kind of like you grew up, and now all your kids are growing up and your grandchildren, and
It is true. You make choices all your life, and then if you make bad ones, you regret yourself. But we'd had no regrets that we came right back here and started up. Well, we're busier now than we were before in many
mhm.
ways. We were deeply involved in the community and with the Buffalo Bill and with the um, we Brother Pete and I did this character thing with the Buffalo Bill on characters of Park County, and we have 3 or 4 hundred people come to those things, and we talk about some of the crazy people around here. Well, not crazy people,
Yeah.
bizarre.
Bizarre.
Oh,
That's the
bizarre.
word. Yep.
Anyway, go ahead now, Zach. Just
Yeah. So what? So you were obviously a senator for a while. What kind of led you to just like want to be a senator for this country?
well, I grew up in that atmosphere. My father, way back in 1940, ran for the U.S. Senate, and he got beat like a drum. He was a Republican in 1940, and that was during Roosevelt's President Roosevelt's time, and so we watched him do that. We watched him. He was a little bit hurt by that. So we thought, well, but he didn't change. My mother and father never changed. They were just who they were, and then he ran for governor in 1954, and he was elected governor. And then he ran for re-election in '58, and it was beaten because he was not in favor of capital punishment.
Mm-hmm.
And there had been several murders hideous murders, but he said, if I'm the guy that has to pull the chain on the gas chamber, I'm not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Take it away from me. Take the choice away from me.
Yeah.
Vengeance is mine. My mother worked him over pretty good on that too, on the Bible. So he lost that election and some other things of controversy. And then he ran again for the U.S. Senate in '62.
Mm-hmm.
He was 65 years old, and he got elected
Really?
big.
Yeah.
And then he had Parkinson's disease and rheumatoid arthritis, and he couldn't do another. He filled an unexpired term for 4 years. So I had a whole lifetime of watching my folks in politics and observed that they never changed. They were, Dad was born in Jackson. My mother was born in Illinois but lived in Sheridan. So I said, if you can do that and not change and not be some monster who you didn't, or someone who just, wanted to be reelected time after time after time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a pretty gutsy guy, but the difference was I loved to legislate. I couldn't have administered my way out of a paper sack. I couldn't have been a governor or any of that type of thing because I'm not an organized man, but I loved legislating. I'd do my own bills. I'd draft them. I'd amend them. I'd go to the floor and debate them, and then I'd save them from being vetoed. And that was my bag. That's what I loved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like, I guess, clear. How long were you in the Senate for? I guess
18 years.
And I mean, that's clearly a very long time. And
Yeah.
I just like we're wondering a little bit. What were some of the things that you did in the Senate?
Well, the odd thing is, sometimes you can be 18 years and do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
After one term, I was elected assistant, a Republican leader under Bob Dole. He was the leader, and I was the assistant leader. So I did that for 10 years. And then I got deeply involved. Everything I touched in the way of legislation had to do with emotion, fear, guilt, or racism, which is a pretty tough arena to play in.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I love that because you gotta be a scrapper.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I was in immigration reform. We did a bill, and Reagan signed it, but it didn't have any guts in it because they took out the phrase that said you must have a more secure identifier. Now, that doesn't mean anything to you, but it did to the right and the left because the crazies from the left and the crazies from the right said, don't you know what Simpson's talking about? A national ID card. And no one was going to talk about an ID card. And now they're talking about retina scans
Yep.
and fingerprints.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, yeah, I mean, what do you think? And they talked about us, the slippery slope. So anyway, so that was called the Simpson-Mazzoli bill. That was the name of it. It was called the Immigration and Control Act. And then I was in nuclear regulation. We were trying to say, what are you going to do with the spent fuel? And there's 26 now of nuclear reactors in America, and the spent fuel is sitting under 60 feet of demineralized water. And if the water disappeared, it would begin to crackle again. How smart is that?
Mm-hmm.
It's not very smart at
Yeah.
all. So you've got to do something with the permanent residue. So we did that, and I was part of that, and we were going to put it in Nevada, but someone said we're going to make a nuclear repository of Nevada, and one guy referred to it as a nuclear suppository, which is a lot different than a repository. Anyway, enough of that. So I was involved with that, and then Social Security reform. When you guys are 60, you'll be picking crap with the chickens, because there is no way it can sustain itself. No way.
Yeah.
And no one is arguing the case. In 2034, it will pay 23% less.
Really.
And you can sue everybody you want. You can say, I put in it from the beginning. You can't do that. Say, well, Roosevelt was smarter than we were. He said, if the scheduled benefit is not there, you're going to get only the payable benefit. And so we started in 2010, and there wasn't enough money coming in. But you put in today, I get out tomorrow. There's no lock box out there waiting
Yeah.
for somebody. Forget the lock box. That was dream world stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what you put in, I get out today, and I get a wad out of there. I retired at 70. I still work. I put in, and there's no reason on earth that I should be drawing that kind of money. You can't give it back. And the Medicare Trust Fund will end in 26. It won't go broke. It just will not pay off.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody knows this. And you can talk to any living politician of Wyoming or wherever. What are you going to do about the Social Security system and the Medicare Trust Fund? Well, we'll handle that. I can tell you, we'll get to that. Don't you worry about it at all. I said, well, pal, every year that goes by,
You're just not doing
there's
it.
less resources.
Yep.
So I was I was called everything by everybody, xenophobe on immigration, zealot or whatever, or that I didn't old people, and I am a veteran. When I got to the Senate, I said, "Do you mean you could serve 6 months and never get the same benefit as a combat veteran?" I said, "Yeah, that's the way it works." I said, "Not under my watch."
Mm-hmm.
So Reagan helped me there, and we raised it to a year. That you had to serve a year to obtain the benefits of relief. But everything I touched was, as I say, was emotion, fear, guilt, or racism.
Mm-hmm. And those are all hard things to touch on, as you
well,
said.
because that's what people come at you. And then you have to be ready to beat them with facts.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get into emotion and
Just
fear. You can't say this guy's a fake, or you just say, look, let me show you something called math, math, and then you decide what you're going to do with this system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't misunderstand it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've been called everything,
Mm-hmm.
but if you have integrity, nothing else matters, and if you don't have integrity, nothing else matters.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a tough spot that you were in.
But you better know that it is.
Mm-hmm.
You have your eyes wide open when you go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got people coming at you from every angle at some point, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, integrity and just like your resilience in that position, you got to be able to, and some people probably can't hack it, but you obviously could, which is pretty cool. I mean, you were in there for 18 years, passed a couple bills.
Oh yeah, there were 3 with my name on them, and you don't find that from a little state like Wyoming.
Exactly, yeah.
Nuclear regulation, the Veterans Affairs Committee. If I hadn't been a veteran, they would have burned my house down.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, if you just never left Camp Beetle Bailey, you don't know a mortar tube from either end. Why the hell should you get a benefit like a combat veteran? They said,
Exactly.
Yeah.
you hate veterans. I said, I don't hate them.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to see them sponging off the government.
Yeah.
I didn't go into it to get the benefit. I joined to be an American.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And, I mean, I've heard you just talk about like a lot of you've met clearly a lot of presidents, and we're just wondering kind of what some of those were, some different ones.
I have met a lot of presidents, like 11.
11,
Ooh,
wow.
that is quite a few.
I met Hoover. He wasn't in office then. But I remember Hoover, and then John F. Kennedy. I met him. I worked with George Bush, was very close. I gave the eulogy at his service. I
Really?
gave the eulogy for President Bush at the National Cathedral. Great honor
Mm-hmm.
to do that, and worked on that one too. You have to work on one. It
Yeah.
took 10 minutes, but it took me 10 hours to work on that one.
Yeah.
And then I met Johnson, Lyndon Johnson, and Carter. Carter and I did a little fishing together,
Seriously. That's
and
cool.
I've got a picture of him on the wall. And of course, you know how it works in life, in journalism. They're preparing his obituary, obviously, because
Mhm.
he's in hospice.
Yeah.
So they're calling me, what do you have to say about President Carter? I said, well, he was a lovely friend, and he was very kind to my parents, and so on. So they're getting ready for the big spread, you know, and so they asked for that picture. It was inscripted by him. And so then Clinton, I worked with Clinton, and Obama appointed me to the Simpson Bowles Committee.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
We didn't call it Bowles Simpson. That would have been a BS.
Yep.
So they said, call it Simpson Bowles instead of BS.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then we presented that to the public,
Mm-hmm.
and they all said, boy, this will solve everything. Then I was on the Iraqi committee, and we suggested what we do there, but everybody said thank you, but they don't pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to it. So anyway, and then I thought, let's see who the other presidents. There was 10 of them. No. Well, I never met Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, a bit outdated there.
He was gone.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, worked with them all
Mm-hmm.
and enjoyed it. Nowadays, I'd be embarrassed to go back to Washington because of the way they fight with each other. They don't get
Yeah.
anything done. If you're a Democrat, you're a SOB. If you're a Republican, you're an SOB. I've seen people right here in this town, they'll say, well, you were talking to a Democrat there on the street. I said, yes, they're human beings.
Yeah.
And there are Republicans who are human beings.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what are you talking about? How did we get to this point?
Yeah.
So anyway, if I didn't count 10, maybe 11,
Yeah.
I should have hit one more. There's somebody missing there. Well, George W.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with him, well, not really very closely,
Yeah.
but it was you could get caught in the big time. You could be on the A list, you know, where you were the toast of the town,
Yep.
or you could be toast the next
Yep.
toast the next day, and
Yeah.
the toast of the town the next day.
Yeah.
Anyway, shoot. But you know, we knew a lot of people. Colin Powell was a dear friend, and of course, people forget, you know, those Father Ted Hesburgh of Notre Dame. I'm not a Catholic. I'm Episcopalian. He gave me a Doctor of Laws, honorary doctorate at Notre Dame, honorary doctorate from American University and from the University of Wyoming, and been very fortunate to just kind of sniff it, but not inhale it.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
You don't want to inhale it.
Because then you just get all it's a lot.
And then you come back to Cody, Wyoming, and if anybody wants to hear how you had a picnic with the president, they say, oh, yeah, well, give me another one. Well, yeah. You had dinner with them. Yeah, had a lot of them, too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we were very careful because our roots started.
Yeah. I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, there's not many people that are going to know 10 presidents.